Okay, so Renfei,
Sure. Yeah,
whenever
so
you're
I'm
ready.
gonna, yeah, share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah, just give me a second. Yeah, so today I'm gonna give a topic about if I'm a developer that I want to run disabled test target, can I do it without re-enabling it in a branch? Also, how to list all of the disabled test targets for a particular test group. Before that, I'm gonna give an overview on our current disable feature. For example, if we want to disable a test target entirely, so we just add disable, then we put a comment. Usually it's a issue URL. And if we want to disable this test target on a particular platform, we can add a platform here. Sorry, the right syntax should be platform instead of plat. So we add platform and we put a regular expression of a platform that we want to match with. Then we can find all the platforms here. And if we want to disable like multiple, if we want to have multiple exclusions, for example, this test will be run on 3 variations, and we want to exclude them for 2 of the variations, we just add 2 disable element here. And each one will match the variation that we want to disable. And also the test can be excluded against multiple criteria. For example, we want to exclude this test for this variation on OpenJ9 Java 8 and on Windows only. That's how we can do it. And we have a set of automatic feature that we can automatically add disabled element through the issue comment. So basically we can have these comments like auto exclude test with the test name on a issue, and it will automatically generate a PR with the disabled change in it. So now I'm going to talk about how do I echo and print out all the disabled targets. For example, if we want to see what's inside the sanity functional is disabled, we can do make underscore echo dot disable dot sanity dot functional. And if we want to see what's like disabled in my entire workspace, or for the current build list, what's disabled, we can do echo dot disable dot all. And that's to print out the disabled information. And if we want to run a disabled test, instead of doing echo, we just do disabled dot test name or disabled dot group. So now I'm gonna show a quick demo. And here I have a local workspace setup. So let's say I want to print out what's disabled in the Sanity native group. So I just do this. So it will show up that we have 3 tests disabled. And inside each test slot, we will see why it's disabled and which is the comment that we left on the disabled element. And we can also do things like see what's disabled for everything in my workspace. Yeah, so that's we got 36 disabled. So let's say if we want to run this disabled test, we can copy the test name and we do make disabled and with the test name. apparently it's failed, and we can see it's get executed, and we can also see in the test it will say this test. Okay, yeah, it's too far. So it will also say why it was disabled before in the test like information. So we can do the same thing in the grinder as well. I have launched 2 grinders, and one is with the disabled. So we get 6 disabled, then the 3 of them gets executed, and another 3 are skipped. And we can also run echo.disabled in a grinder as well. That's what we're gonna see. And inside console output, we'll see the reason why the test is disabled. So yeah, that's it for me. Is there any questions? Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks. So
Renfei.
yeah, I'll stop
Very
sharing.
good presentation.
Yeah, I just want to say, the echo.disabled is actually just for user to quickly see what is disabled and what is the issue that's associated with the target. So that's the purpose of that target. But if you want to run the disabled target, then you can just directly run disabled.target name without changing anything in your branch. I think another thing I want to mention is when you run disable dot say sanity functional, it really depends on your build list. Is that correct, Renfei? Like if your build list
Yes.
say is
Yeah.
OpenJDK, for example, then there's not going to be disable dot sanity dot functional. So they have to be used in correlation. So that's just
Yes.
something to be aware of, right? So if you say send it disable.all, then if your build list is only set to OpenJDK, then you only see the disabled from the OpenJDK set.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll add another note. Thanks, Renfei. That's always so clear when you lay it out like that. That the other note is that we have an open issue in Aqua tests where we now will take a look at those URLs for the why was this disabled. We haven't finished work on this, but the idea is to go check the state of the GitHub issue or the issue that causes something to be disabled. And if it's marked as closed or resolved, to be able to check, can we run that test and does it pass? Or can we grind it over, several iterations and does it pass all iterations? So then we can start to look at automating re-inclusion of tests.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's a great point. That's why when we do code review, we really check whether the comment you are like Git issue, whether it's like the correct one or not, because then it will help us to do the automation later to check if you link to the wrong Git issue, then it's gonna be, or the automation tool later on will have trouble to figure out what's going on.
Cool. Any questions from anyone on this presentation? Okay, if not, I guess we'll move on with the rest of the agenda. Thank you very much, Renfei, for this presentation. Okay, so I'll share my screen again. Right, yeah, just a reminder, if you have any other talks that you'd like to propose for this community call, just add them to the list to schedule. So we can take a look at user issues. So there doesn't seem to be anything new since the last meeting. It seems like everything here has some attention. terms of release, we don't have Peter here, but we did start the milestone 2 builds. But I guess we'll wait for Peter for next week to hear the status of those. In terms of,
sorry, they are ongoing. There was still discussions happening about various properties and version outputs and naming things. So they haven't been published yet, but
okay.
hopefully they can be published before EA Day.
Yeah. All right. I'll make a note. Yeah. In terms of the 0.28 release, so we've got a target code split for August 8th. We're still attempting to burn down issues there. I guess the big thing there is method handles. So it's been enabled in 16, but we're still working on enablement in 17. I guess we'll talk about that in more. Oh, it's the next item. So if Jack is here, he can give us an update on what's going on.
Yes. So for the adopting OpenJDK method handles, I'll work. Right now, I've been working on going through the list of test failures that we need to address. Currently, I believe there's 7 sanity OpenJDK. 5 has been excluded, and there's 2 that are intermittent with the issue that it was complaining that the parameter 1 from the link to a virtual call is null. We can only reproduce it in the test-ng framework, so I still need to put more debugging code in there in order to produce a proper core dump. We're also seeing some special system test failures. These have not been tested before, as they're a special subset that we don't run on regular builds. So for Java 17, we're still waiting for some of the fixes to be integrated for the command line options that are currently unrecognized in order to have the test for Java Line Foreign and some of the mass test which uses xlog to get passed. In terms of JIT performance, I believe JIT have reported an update that they have mentioned part of their INL transformer have been integrated already, and they're seeing significant improvement of that. Some of the NASFORN tests that we were running already are within a reasonable margin of our OpenJ9 implementation. They are still working on getting the last transformer in, which is the link to virtual, and they're expecting that to fix the majority of the 20x issue that we're seeing. We don't have any more in-depth result in terms of the different workloads and Lambda heavy. I guess we'll probably expect to see those numbers sometime this week, and we'll give an update next week.
Thanks, Jack. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Is Daryl on the call?
Yep.
Yeah. Any update on the ARch64?
So things are so we're essentially functionally complete on that one, except for 2 items that we're still trying to land. One is an inline array copy that we're definitely going to have to land for GA in order to get reasonable performance on a number of workloads. So we have implementations of that we are testing. the primitive array copy is looking good. Reference array copy is still being debugged. And then the other outstanding piece that we need to spend a bit of time working on is just an improved interface dispatch performance, so that we lose. We see interface dispatching being hot in some of the profiles, and the AR64 implementation does not use a polymorphic inline cache like all the other architectures do. So we've had that work ongoing on the back burner for several months now. I think it's close to being done though, so we want to get those done. Other than that, we are just doing performance analysis, running various benchmarks, trying to uncover various obvious hotspots that we missed. Once we get the array copy implemented and integrated, which I'm hoping is going to happen in another week or so, we will do a more thorough set of performance runs to see where we are, and if there's any areas that we need to focus on immediately. But other than that, I think things are looking pretty good on that front. There are a number of defects, obviously, that we're going to have to spend some time investigating. The ones that we haven't done are the ones that that'll take a while to investigate. So, we'll have, maybe the month of August to spend going through some of those and getting those in shape for GA.
Okay, thanks, Daryl. General business, Shelley on the call. Oh yeah, I guess she is. I heard her earlier.
Yeah, I've been typing frantically.
Yeah.
Not that there's too much I'll necessarily say to this, because I've captured it all in the minutes, just to say we're finally working through there's a handful of TCK failures related to infrastructure issues that we're working through. We've attempted all automated and all interactive TCKs on the 3 major platforms, and have the Eclipse Infra team working endlessly to close off the remaining items we have. That's all really that first release, which is the April re-release, if you will, on the 3 platforms in 1 version, was all a dry run in prep for the July release. So now we're working through dry running TCKs on the secondary platforms for all versions. We're reviewing Aqua test results. And I'll put a note there and I'll try to hyperlink it to the actual issue. For the Docker story or the containers story, that had not been addressed in our Eclipse Foundation transition. We just really don't have the human resources to get to everything. Our plan is to come at that after we get the binaries released, and then come back and reinvent how we're doing the Docker story. Some of the challenges we're facing are listed in the container. There's a new repo called Containers, and the very first issue in it outlines some of the goals we'll have and some of the issues we face. And if you're wanting to ask questions about any of those, come to some of the community calls. The Adoptium community call is next week. Aquavit one is this week, and I just put a note, Grace Hopper Celebration Open Source Day is this Thursday. And thanks Lan and Sophia, who are going to be helping mentor a bunch of students and newbies to do some hackathon work at the Aquavit project. So those are the things, and that's all I had.
Thanks, Shelley. Okay, on to machines, Adam.
Hey, not too much to report. The Artifactory is all cleaned up on the old stuff now, so that 73% should be a stable number. We're setting up the Arch, the new machine, but there was issues running playbooks, so Raj has been trying to investigate that when he has time. And other than that, there was 4 Z-Linux machines marked offline by Pete with network issues, and I see they are having DNS problems. So we'll have a look at that in our next iteration, which starts tomorrow. That's about it.
All right. Thanks, Adam. Is Devin on the call? I don't see Devin, so I guess we'll check with him later for the CMake update. Marius is on the call.
Marius is on vacation for the rest of the month.
Okay, so I guess skip that section as well. The next microjet meeting is on July 15th. I guess, Daryl, do you have any updates on the progress there?
Sorry, the microjets?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Okay. Next is the Snapshot Restore. So the first set of API changes were delivered, and the Liberty team was able to use it for some prototyping work. They've requested some new capabilities, and so we're thinking of reworking the API a bit just to make it easier to add more capabilities in the future. Also to simplify the user story there. So that's basically the next big thing that we're looking at working on there. In terms of Loom, we've moved that out of 17, so there's no work on it at the moment. The next on the list is Project Panama. Cheng, do you have an update?
Can you hear me, Toby?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's the work on Facebook is pretty much done, and hopefully we can enable OpenGDK, Open Metadata tonight too should be able to enable it in Java 17 this week, right? So we can put everything together and about the changes on phase 2 and 3 to verify on top of that and submit for code review after everything's fine. And that's everything from my side.
Thanks, Cheng. And Peter's not here, so we'll skip the spell checker discussion. And so I think that's it for today's community call. Any questions, comments, concerns from anyone? All right. If not, then I guess we can close the call for today. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.